Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of SpecTalk. Today, we are going to be covering the basics. So we're kind of traveling back a little bit. I know some of the topics we've had recently are sort of edged towards the more advanced stuff, and we took today as a moment to say, you know what, the basics in SpecLink are so good. We're going to talk about them, but we're going to talk about the pushing the basics to the limits here is I think if you're on this call right now, if you've made it this far, you know a thing or two about SpecLink. But we're going to maybe expand your knowledge on some of those basic features that we are so proud of to include in our platform here. So let me get over to my screen share here. We're going to run through a couple of exciting things. We're going to introduce our guest. I know you can see him, okay, but and you can probably read his name on the screen too. So let's keep the mystery alive and dive in on the basic supercharge. As always, your hosts are so happy to welcome you today. I'm Dory Azar, licensed architect, and with me as always is Alex Bear. Say hello, Alex.
Hello, everyone.
There it goes. So today we're going to start with our poll question number one. So we're just going to keep that suspense going, and here we go. So, what I wanted to talk to you guys first was how comfortable is everybody with the basics of SpecLink? So, the three options I've got are don't ask me anything. Like, don't put the camera on me. I'm not sure about the basics. I can hold my own. I do this. I'm pretty good at this thing. Or listen, I could put on a clinic. I could put on a class on the basics of SpecLink. So this is going to give us a good idea of where everybody is on today's. And oh, Alex, we've got a bunch of people that say don't ask me anything. So I think by the end of today's webinar, we are going to just eliminate that category altogether. I think everybody by the end of today should have a really good understanding of some of the key basic elements here. So this is kind of how I thought it. I'm surprised by the "don't ask me anything" part, to be honest. But I think I can hold my own is what I was expecting to see. So the results are here, guys. If you can see them on your screen there, the 63% of you saying I can hold my own, but we got 12 that thinks they can put on a class here. So maybe we'll have to tap them for a future guest spot. So, backing up here for a second, today's special guest is Alex Fulton, and Alex is an absolute rock star here at RIB SpecLink. He is a training specialist here and has been for about 2.5 years. Alex is responsible for our private training sessions for small group or one-on-one. He's also responsible for our monthly 1-hour essentials webinars and our 3-hour new user webinars. So if you recognize his face or you've seen his name, maybe it could be from one of there. And if you haven't checked out those 1 hour and 3 hour free opportunities, they are available to everybody. He's also responsible for writing and updating the guide database. So if you've taken advantage of any of our online knowledge, it's likely got Alex's fingerprints all over it. Besides his work here at SpecLink, Alex loves his sports and is currently trying to improve his golf game. And
Yeah,
I am as well as probably 90% of the viewers here. If you're looking to improve your golf game, please leave a tip in the comment section for all of
for
us.
sure.
He does VR sim racing, which is super cool, and has a collection of over 100 board games and loves to teach others how to play them. So we're going to take advantage of that love of teaching with Alex Fulton today and share it with today's audience. So, guys, I'm so excited to have Alex demoing the basics today. So, welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much. And yeah, I guess you know when you like training when you can do a 3 hour course and then later that same day go teach a board game at a game night.
That's awesome. What's one board game that we should all know about that should be more popular but isn't? And then we'll get
Oh
started.
man, one that's nearly impossible to pick. I think more people should know about Twilight Imperium, but people are gonna call that one out immediately because it takes like 10 hours to play. I just want more people to play it
Okay.
with.
No problem.
That's not what
No
we're doing
problem.
after work though.
No, no. But what we are going to cover today are the basics that we are going to cover are global terms. We're going to touch on tagging. We're going to talk about submittal reports, and that's one that I find that not a lot of people make the best use out of or get the most mileage. And towards the end, we are going to talk a little bit about importing Word files. I know there's some big changes coming to that here. that we'll
Mhm.
get to in another episode. But definitely excited to share some of those basics with you. So before we go, I got to do one more poll question.
Of
So this is
course.
teeing you up, Alex. Like, drink your water, take a sip, crack your knuckles, do the things you got to do because we are going to do another poll question. My computer is lagging here just a little bit. So I'm going to ask the question of which feature are you using the most of the things that we're going to talk about today? So do you import from Word a lot? Are you sort of trying to master global terms? Are you taking advantage of the submittal reports, or did you not even know you could do any of these things? So we'll give this a sec. Look at this importing from Word. I should have had you guys guess before we got started on where you thought these would land. I did not. I thought it'd be a little more evenly distributed. This is really interesting to see, and I
Mm,
think we can see that there is with the submittal reports that kind of fits what I said earlier. Is I don't think a lot of people are taking full advantage of that part um, of SpecLink. So let me just share those results real quick.
yeah.
I'm not sure if the viewers saw that coming or not, but that's what we've got for you today. That's what we're going to move forward with. So Captain
Man.
Fulton, I'm going to call you Captain now because you're taking over.
And
And
there's two Alexes, so that does help.
Yes.
well, well, if you're captain, yeah. Well, you're Fulton though, so I could just call you by last names, and we'll
Yeah,
we'll treat it like that for the
that'll
day.
do.
In the materials section of the screen, too, guys. Sorry, is the download. So if you wanted to book a trial or you wanted to view some of the previous episodes on demand, one page PDF is going to have all the information you need to access all the best information that we have. So on that note, Alex Fulton, teach us things.
Teach us things. That's
Teach us things. Teach us
always a
all.
good thing that I like to hear. Um, all right, let's. I'm going to share the screen, and obviously, as always with the Spec Talks, I definitely want to hear from you guys too. I know we got a bunch of people out there, so ask some questions along the way. We'll see what fits. We'll see what we can take, but definitely we'll try to help out for any extra things that get thrown out along the way. That's usually my preferred way to teach anyway, is having a nice little back and forth with anyone. But for anyone who does recognize my voice, hello again. My name is Alex. Um, and I guess I'm going to just hop right into talking about some global terms. So I love global terms. It is actually one of my favorite things to demo, I guess, or yeah, I guess demo is the best way to describe it when I'm doing a training, because it is one of the things that will get people, just blow people's minds, like when they're first learning about SpecLink. For I guess for anybody who either didn't know that these are options or don't ask me anything, people from the polls, that this is always a really exciting thing to really get it all rolling. But this. I've got a section open here. I've got glass unit masonry, and you can see this might be how it looks for you. Having the document map open to be able to quickly move around, see your section, see all the different sequence numbers to activate. But the big thing with global terms is, well, unfortunately, even though we have this great document map, you're not going to be able to have that open at the same time. So I'm going to close it all the way down so you can see how we get there. Over here on the left, we got our document manager, and we're going to open that tab up, and we're going to click on global terms. Now this gives you a list of all of the global terms, and it will be all of these built-in ones that have a lot of different uses, but then you can see I've actually got one built here that it has a U. Anything that with a U there is a user global term. So even though we've got all these ones built in, you guys can have so many more options that for anything that you see needing frequent updates with. But before I do anything with that, I think just showing you just this reviewing the basics as we're doing today, reviewing the basics, making sure we all know how the global terms work is a good idea. So I'm going to scroll down here, just find a nice little spot. Yeah, I like
Alex,
this mortar mixing spot. Yes.
while we're moving forward with today's webinar, could you, if you remember, talk about permissions and if there's anything that requires a different permission
Ah, yes.
for someone to access? That might be so. If we get so, we just got a comment from Daryl saying who can use this view slash function, and I'm not sure specifically if it's that global term panel that he's referring to on the side, which is that flyout. But it just made me think that there might be permission based things. So if somebody's following along, they might not have access to certain things based on their
Good point. Good
permissions.
point. Yeah, so there's absolutely certain things that have to do with permissions in here. I believe most users can access and add global terms to a document, But when it comes to creating new ones or editing them, I believe those are just a step above it. I can pull up I might actually pull that up in a different tab. Let's see, open a new tab is not showing an option. All right, so we're just going to duplicate and we'll deal with that in a second. Because I can actually pull up our permissions list and we can go take a look at who's allowed to do certain things and review that for as we go as well. Ooh, perfect, it all loaded. Let's go take a look at global terms. Since we're talking basics, we want to know who along the basics can even do these. So let's get down here, global terms. So you can see now this page that you guys are seeing, since we are talking about permissions, this is one that for the most part, only system managers are going to be able to see. So you don't expect to be able to go in here and review it for yourself, but we do have the entire list of all the options in the guide database. Quick plug for that, click the question mark, it'll take you there. So if you do want to review it and you don't have access, you can go in there. But oh yeah, you can see here. So standard users have the ability to update the global terms, but when it comes to creating, deleting, or putting them into the document, you have to be an expert level user. Okay, good to know.
All right. Thanks, Alex. Yeah, I appreciate
Of
that.
course. And I'll keep that tab open so we can check for any of the other features as we go. So anyway, to talk about how the global terms work. So in a nutshell, effectively what global terms are it's a way to update a project in one place to get wherever these global terms are located, you can update them all simultaneously. So one of my favorite things to use is a bid date. That's probably my favorite one that I like to demo because that's, it's a pretty important date that everyone needs to know. And if it updates, it's a lot of things can change. So the way you actually add a global term in is as simple as you can add a lot of things is just a drag and drop. So if I go and drag and drop bid date in here, you can see we've got a date. I've just jumped a little. You can see we have a date showing here. Now, I'll just come up here as well, and we'll add a little global term up here too, and I'll drag in the same bid date. Now, we have this date of 3/21/2025 showing. Now, that doesn't match up with what I just dragged in, and that's where editing the global terms is a big deal. So clicking right here to edit global terms, you see the term name and then the project value. The project value is what's going to actually appear in the project. So the bid date, for example, currently has a project value of 3/21. So that's why we're seeing 3/21. But 3/21 was last month. Obviously, the bid date can't be in the past. So with a simple click, I can bring we'll bring it up to today, 4/2. And now suddenly we have 4/2 here and 4/2 here. So with one click, I was able to update both of those locations where we have that global term plugged in. Now this works. Now I'm doing this on the same screen so you can see that, but this works project wide. So any of the different sections that I have in this project where the global term bid date has been plugged in all the way from the title page, information, any of these things all at the top, any of the 1,200 sections that we have, if you've plugged in the bid date, you can update it all in one sweeping motion. So it is a great way to do fast updates across the board. Now, I like using bid date as an example because it's a date, it's very easy to see the change. But there's a lot of these terms that are honestly even more frequently found throughout sections and projects. Like, for example, project ID is one that comes up a lot, project location and city. Now you can see this is populated with Atlanta, Georgia, which is when I made this project, where I based it in, Atlanta, Georgia. And you can see the project name up here, Atlanta Mall. Project name, Atlanta Mall. So anywhere where the project name, I was highlighting everything. So I'm going to go back so I can start dragging again. So anywhere where project name is located, it will instantly populate as Atlanta Mall. So it makes it very easy to have a lot of information set up and quickly update an entire project with a few clicks and a few edits of the global terms themselves. Now, one of the big things and one of the confusions that either is going and getting thrown in the questions panel right now, or you guys who are sitting there might have and don't want to ask about. One of the biggest confusions with global terms is that it is called a global term, but it is not universal through the entireness of your login for SpecLink Cloud. It is based in a project only. So if I make this update to bid date here, it is for the Atlanta Mall project. If I do a different bid date in a different project, it will only update in that project. So we'll call it the SpecTalk project. If I update the SpecTalk project, it will have a different date than the Atlanta Mall one. That's something that gets a lot of people because they think that, oh, if I update it here, it's going to update all of the projects. It only updates the one you're working in. But there is this user one that I've made. So this project one that I have here, this is one I've made in this project. That global term is still able to be used in other projects. So now that I've made it, if I'm in the SpecTalk project, I can still drag this global term in. I just need to make my own edit for what the value is going to be. So Dory and Alex, because it's going to be the SpecTalk project. So if I make this adjustment in this project, a different project will still be able to use this user-made global term, but they just need to make an adjustment to what the value of it is. So when it comes to global terms, I think they're almost, when it comes to the order of operations of setting up a project, if you are able to create a master that has a lot of global terms linked into it, I think global terms is one of the very early steps during project creation. So you first create a project, you start activating which sections are going to be in the project, but then opening up one of those sections, coming over to the global terms that you know that you guys are using, and just making those edits right away, all of a sudden, not only is the project created for, with a specific use, for this example, Atlanta Mall, not only have you created that project for the Atlanta Mall, activated the sections you need, but you've already updated a bunch of the vital information all at once. And I guess with that being said, I have to go back to permissions because the best use of global terms is, as I mentioned, in your Office Masters. Now, over here, we can go look at the permissions again and talk about Office Masters. So a lot of people can go look at Office Masters, print them, but when it comes to creating new ones or editing, you do have to be manager level for a lot of the aspects of Office Masters. So
Alex,
if
can you show
you,
us real
oh,
quick? Can you show us real quick how you access that screen? There was a question that came in earlier how you get to this screen.
oh,
If you could
yes, of course.
just quickly step through that.
So back here in the dashboard, now remember this is only for system managers that are able to get to this. If you click on the people page, you'll be able to see all of the users that we have in here, and then click on role permissions. This is going to show this full dropdown. And then you can customize the different role permissions for everybody. So for any of the system managers out there watching that really like the idea of letting everybody use the global terms, you can come on down to global terms here and start setting it to standard if you wanted to, and then let everyone use the global terms. For anyone who doesn't have access to this specifically, reminder, check the guide. Search for the role permissions, and there is an Excel sheet breaking down this entire thing with the defaults. Now, there could be some changes depending on your system manager and what they've done, but we can at least show you what the defaults are. It's hard to know what everyone's doing with their permissions, right?
Yeah, or if even they know that they're available.
Good point.
I'm not sure what the default is though. Once if you sign up for 5 licenses and assign them, I'm not sure what the default is.
Well, I guess there isn't really a default option when you're creating new users. Now, this is obviously a little tangent because when you go into the creating a new user, the very first user, I guess, has a default of system manager. Whoever the very first one is, they're going to be the admin. They're going to have system manager. But from that point on, whenever you're creating a new user, you have to select one of the roles. So it's not like everybody starts standard and has to be adjusted. Just upon creation, you get to choose what role that person's going to be.
All right. So if you've got multiple licenses and you weren't aware of that, yeah, check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so as I was mentioning, Office Masters here, you can see a lot of these are manager levels. So for creating new ones, making certain edits, deleting, You can see there are certain things in here, like anybody's allowed to go print it or open it to view the sections. But when it comes to actually creating sections, editing sections, importing things, even even things as simple as like activating paragraphs, those are all things that are at a higher level than a standard project. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is because when it comes to global terms, if you have an office master that you've made, you've designed, anywhere that where you can use a global term, I would definitely recommend using that global term, because it just makes it that much easier to get everything working, I guess, as smoothly as possible and updated as quickly as possible. And when it's coming directly from the master, that means every single project that you make will have access to those global terms already built in, and you just need to open it up and start making some edits. So you can see, like here, for example, we have the colors to match architect sample as selected by architect there. Now, if I'm looking here, I can see architect. So if I switch this text to, I'm going to go with Dory again, to Dory, you
Thanks.
can see now it's to match Dory's sample to be selected by Dory from the manufacturer's list. So Dory, you've suddenly gotten a lot of different responsibilities in this entire project.
Thanks. That's what
Yeah,
my
you're welcome.
responsibility list needed, was one more
Yeah,
responsibility. Thank you for
and you
that.
just need a couple extra things. Um, Now, when it comes to global terms, I definitely recommend if there's one of these in here that, or if of the list of global terms we already have, if something either doesn't work with you guys internally and how you normally do it, click create a new global term. Come up with the term name. Like it can be who is in charge, just something like that, where you can literally have a term that says who is in charge. And then for each project, you would be typing in who's in charge here. So I can put Alex Bear is in charge here. And now in this project, so you can see project value, Alex Bear is going to be the term that pops up for who's in charge. But any other project from that point on is able to use this term once I create it. They just need to set a new project value. So there's a lot of great things you can do with global terms. It is a fantastic way to update kind of universally your projects very quickly, especially upon initial setup. Did we see any kind of pressing questions with global terms before I move on to anything else?
Yeah, I have
We've
somebody
got a
that
few
asks,
different, yeah, we've got a few different things today, so I don't want to linger too long without checking for questions.
sure, somebody that asks if there's a way to consolidate multiple global terms. Don't
Consolidate.
know if that's, I responded to clarify on that. I don't know if that's like a sequence of global terms to have kind of back to back, or
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how consolidate global terms would work. Unless if they can clarify, that'd be great. But I
okay,
guess it's in the sense of like if you have multiple global terms back to back, like I can take construction cost, drag that in here, which is obviously showing a
right,
0. I could take project, oh, I don't have a zip assigned, but I can put a state. So you can put multiple terms next to each other. And if you have multiple terms next to each other, each of them, they're only editable in the global term menu. So if I wanted to remove that 0, I would have to delete the entire term. Same thing with bid date. I can't just delete the 2025. I have to delete the entire thing if I delete it.
sure,
So I guess
okay,
when it comes to consolidating, I'm thinking in the sense of either having a bunch in the same row, or if you end up with way too many user-made ones. I think a big thing is just a reminder that, hey, all you need to do is make that user one in one project and you can use it in all of the projects. Like we don't need 15 different ones that are effectively being used the same way. And for any of the system managers who have the permission, a good way to, I guess, consolidate it in that sense is when it comes up here for creating global terms, just make it a little harder to do. Increase that permission level.
Yeah, we are. I just want to acknowledge we have almost 300 people on with us today, and the questions panel is like low. It's such an active group today, and I absolutely love it so much. Apologies if we can't get to everybody's question or comment. We are like Alex and I are like behind the scenes, doing our best to keep up and answer and reply. So please keep the questions coming. But if we don't get to you, we still love you. It's just it's not a hate
It's a
thing. It's
personal
just it's
thing.
a volume thing. It's a volume thing. So Yeah, I just wanted to
It's a
get that
good
out.
problem to have, having that much volume, because,
It's
and
fantastic.
I know Dory mentioned it a few times before. We definitely look for some of those key questions in there to either answer later down the line or reach out to you guys. So keep them coming.
Mhm.
All right, so I guess I'll wrap up the global terms with that for now. Um, and ooh, actually, I thought of one more thing I was going to say about them.
Let's
Eh,
hear it.
no, it's
Oh, you
gone now.
forgot it.
Yeah, I did.
All
I
right.
thought of one more thing, and then we started talking about the numbers. I got excited.
This is crazy. We could literally do a full hour on just global terms. It
Oh,
feels like with the amount
absolutely.
of questions coming in, and so yeah, let's move on, Alex, to the next one. We want to make sure that
Mhm.
we're touching on all the topics we promised we would today.
Yes. So from there, I will actually I will save it for last because I guarantee there's going to be a spec talk on it down the road. I was going to say I might jump ahead to do importing really quick, just because there is a factor of global terms with importing, but I'm going to keep that
Uh-huh.
as a little teaser, and we'll talk about some tagging. So when it comes to tagging, it is very similar to global terms, except instead of clicking document manager, we're going to the other side and clicking on sequence manager. And when we click on the sequence manager, we have our options in notes, links, and tags. Now, the basics, especially if you are using the built-in RIB sections, uh, the basics of tagging is something to absolutely make sure you are comfortable with and familiar with, because you're going to see these dots for anything that's non-selectable or non-printable. You're going to see all of the reference standards automatically get tagged in certain ways. Oops, excuse me. You're going to see submittals get tagged, which we'll talk about a little bit more about it later. Manufacturers, there's a lot of different tags that are going to come up just automatically built into the RIB content. So understanding how the tagging works and potentially how to create your own or add some more is a great thing to be very comfortable with. So with that being said, if you guys noticed, I'm going to go back, I don't have any of these columns open. So we have this little column tool here where I can show and hide, and I unchecked everything, keep the screen nice and clean. But as soon as I opened the tags, we got both the view and report tags column opened up. Now the view tags is for tagging paragraphs, short form, and outline, but we are mostly going to be talking about report tags here. So a great example of what you can do with tags. Now I'm going to scroll down. So actually right here, so reference standards. I'll activate part one general. I think it is because we have 300 people watching, and as well as me sharing the screen, casting the video. So it is a little bit delayed with certain activations, but it'll get there. So I'm going to activate that, but you're going to see that we have all of these tags built in under the reference standards, and it says RS for reference text segment and RT for references title. This all happens automatically because there's actually some additional intelligence built into these, because these get automatically applied to all of the reference standards. So if you see that, you know it's going to be a reference standard there. And it actually is able to apply it itself if a reference standard gets added. So I'm going to show you just a little bit of the intelligence of that aspect, because I just love showing it with the reference standards. I'm actually going to make a new paragraph. And after I talk reference standards, I'll talk more about some of the basics for tags. So, but I'm going to drag a reference standard in from our massive database. And now after I drag that in, a few things are happening in the background. A link is being created. It is being added to the reference standards section at the top, or title, section title at the top. And then it is automatically tagging the paragraph. So if we scroll up, now actually I should check, we have 29 CFR. So scrolling back up to our reference standards, and there it is, 29 CFR, automatically added to the reference standard, automatically linked because it's an active paragraph, and there is the new tag. Now that new tag right there is why I showed the reference standards first, is because we automatically got a blue tag here. Now that blue tag, it is the same reference text segment tag, or pretty much showing what is a reference standard. It is the same tag as the rest of these, but it is that nice little we'll call it SpecLink blue, with the white text versus the white background with the SpecLink blue text. And now that is an indication of a user-made tag. Now, even though this tag automatically got added there by me adding a reference standard, it's blue because my actions as a user created that tag. So a better way to show that a little bit more directly is we'll come down here, we'll activate. Ooh, got to find the parent paragraph. There we go. We'll activate here, and I'll just activate just a bunch of these paragraphs just because it looks a little bit cleaner when you're working on active paragraphs, right? So over here, we've got our report tags. So we have our report tag column, and we've got this massive list of all the different report tags. So all of these right here, once again, these are all built in. They're all included. You can use whichever ones you want. You can make sure you're discussing internally of how you want to use certain tags. But each of these tags are something that can be applied to different paragraphs. If you have additional uses for tags, and I will talk about it in just a minute, you can create new ones. But when it comes to the tagging, you want to make sure that pretty much across the board within, at least internally, you guys know what you're using tags for. Some of them are pretty straightforward. For example, shop drawings. So if I were to say, yep, this color clear glass paragraph, it has a shop drawing involved. So I'm going to right click over here, and now it's going to give me a list of all of those tags. So if I scroll down to shop drawings or search it, I can select it. You can see shop drawing just got added. So I've just applied that tag. Now, a fun thing about tagging is once you start applying a tag, you've effectively selected that tag, ready to go, ready to continue applying until you've effectively closed the column. Because if I say that up here, we have a shop drawing added to this paragraph, I just had it to left click. Come down here, shop drawing added right here. I've just had to left click. So once a tag is added, you can continue to just keep clicking, adding that same tag over and over. So if I did that a couple more times, same thing works in reverse. Clicking removes it as well, but only removes the one that's currently selected. Just like that.
And that's just a single click. That's not a double
just
click.
A single click, yeah.
Just a single click. Okay. I'd like to know how many people knew that little tip.
Yeah.
We got a question. Here's
go ahead.
We got just a simple question that came in from two separate people. So it requires and it's a simple question. It says, what is the purpose of tagging? Or what is the purpose of tags? How would you answer that? Yeah. Let's answer that.
Yeah, I guess we are talking basics recharge, so we need to make sure we're talking at a high level because we all want to make sure we know what the end goal of certain aspects are. We know the end goal of global terms, update your project universally. The end goal of report tags is to give you information about your project by being able to create reports. So up here, we have a reporting button up on the toolbar. By clicking on reporting, we see project reports. Then you can select different reports, including submittals and submittals logs. But right down here, individual tag reports. The individual tags that it is referring to is any of these report tags in this column. So if I click individual tag reports, I can then say, which ones do I want to include? Now I can filter it by user-made ones or just the master ones. But you can see anything that we don't currently have an active tag on, I can't select. But we'll come down and we'll say, oh, actually, we'll go with product. So if I wanted to run a report where I say, I want to see every single section that has the product tag or any, so that way I will know which sections have a product involved with it. Or you can do it another way around. Like I want to see sections with all of the shop drawings. Well, I guess that's kind of falling into the submittals. But you can see as we're going through all of these, there's a lot of different ways you could utilize this. I'm going to see if I can find a good. Oh yeah, so manufacture or maintenance materials. That's a good one. If you had maintenance materials tagged in certain sections and you want to know, ooh, which of our sections actually need maintenance materials, you can select that box and you can run that report. Now I'll run a report in just a moment because I want to run the report based on a user tag. So we're going to make our own. But one of my favorite tags to actually make And I think it should be a built-in tag for everybody, but you can choose to use it or not. But up here, we can see create a new user tag. Now, whenever you're creating a new user tag, it is always a report tag. You cannot create additional view tags, just report tags. So entering the tag name here, my favorite one to use is, it's a great, honestly, I think it's a great tool to have at your disposal if you are the type of person who has to follow back up on certain sections. You sometimes leave a couple things like, I need to double check on those. I'll come back to it later. And it is fill in the blank info needed. So as I type this in, the tag label is automatically being generated based on the first letter of each word I used. Now, I don't need a full fitbin tag. I can just simplify it to FITB, fitb for fill in the blank. That's enough info there. And there is a character limit, but it is quite long, a big enough character limit that you shouldn't have to worry for both the tag name and the tag label. But I'm going to hit save. Now that I've done that, as I scroll through the list, you can see, oh, there's our big U to indicate a user-made tag. The same thing that I mentioned with global terms earlier applies to these as well. I've just made this tag in this Atlanta Mall project, but over in the SpecTalk project, that project will now be able to see the fill in the blank info needed tag as well. So it does not need to be made a second time. It just needs to get dragged in and used. Well, not dragged in, but activated and used. So let's take a quick look at this, how we can utilize this tag now. So for example, here we're going through this section. We come to solid glass units. Yep, we're providing shaped units, including corners, curved units, and oh wait, we definitely need to add to something else. But what's the terminology that we use for that? I'll come back. I'll send an email. I'll find out what the terminology is. So I'm going to come over to our report column, and I'm going to search for our user tag, the FitB, fill in the blank info needed. And then I can scroll down a little bit and take a look. Like, oh yeah, we've got another paragraph here. Perimeter channel, we want to have it a certain inch by a certain inch. We don't know the specifics of that. So we're going to come over, we're going to add the fill in the blank info needed. Now, actually, I'm going to make sure that paragraph is active when I do that. I'm going to actually jump to another section. I'll filter by my active sections only. We're going to jump to another section and apply the fill in the blank info needed tag in that section as well. Just so when we run this report, you'll be able to get a full breakdown. Now,
Alex, are you getting more questions? Are you getting more questions from this group today, or from when you do your board game nights, trying to teach somebody complicated? Is it way more questions there?
Oh yeah, I see the 99 plus in the corner for the amount of questions that are being asked. That's just like, hey guys, this game is called this. I'm getting that amount of questions right away.
All right, viewers, you know what to do, I guess.
No, yeah, I would say I'm usually not teaching anything to 300 people at once. Usually it's like a much smaller group, like 6 or something. So yeah, you get a lot more personal attention. But while that new section is getting loaded, I did want to come in here and make sure we take a look at permissions in projects for tags. Since we were talking about permissions, so we can see over here, all users can access the tag pane. But when it comes to adding, removing, or creating tags, expert level in order to create or add those tags. Deleting them is a step above that. You have to be a manager to do that. Now, this is, once again, default only. So there could be some changes internally that you guys have made. Anyway, let's get back over to our tiling section that I've now opened up. And we're going to do a little scroll, find a fill in the blank. This is a massive section. So do you know what we do with sections like this? We open up our document map and we just jump down to part 2. There we go.
That is a feature. That is such the document map. I think everybody needs to know that it exists, because I still meet people that have no idea that got plugged into SpecLink, and it is like the biggest time saver.
It especially when you see a scroll bar that looks more like a dot than a bar. This is a good way to jump around.
Yes.
All right, so now that I've jumped around a little, I'm gonna close the document map just to clean it up, just to make sure the screen's looking nice. Let's pick I'm trying not to pick a manufacturer fill in the blank, but it looks like I might have to, because there is apparently a lot of manufacturers that make tile. I'm not surprised. Okay, yep, we'll
Alex,
stick with this.
oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, keep going. Yeah, if you needed a second, I had a quick question that I was gonna jump in
Oh
with,
yeah,
but
no, ask it. Yeah.
no, it was just about applying multiple tags. And
Okay.
I know that we can apply multiple tags per sequence number. Um, I
hmm
was just going to ask that real quick, but the question was, can we do it? So yeah, and you showed that a little bit earlier. So maybe if somebody wants to see that demonstrated again, they can go back to the replay, which this will be available for replay and rewatching tomorrow. Should be tomorrow.
Good. Good. We like good replay.
Hmm.
But I will show it again just because the way I've worked it out here, I've ended up picking this particular fill in the blank. So we know as we're going through our tiling and we've got all the different manufacturers at our disposal already built in, but for our bonded sheet membrane that we're going to be using, we know that it's a different type of product that we're going to use that isn't one of the manufacturers we have. We just had there were still negotiations of who we're going to use for that. So, but we're already building the spec. So I'm working on the actual section. I just don't know that particular detail. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to right click. I'm going to find the fit B, fill in the blank info needed. And now I have multiple tags on the same paragraph. Now, remember the blue background is the user tags. The white background is the ones built into the RIB sections. Now, I've never personally tested how many tags you can actually have for a particular paragraph, but I do know you can have at least 5 because I've seen 5 before. But I'm not necessarily sure if there is an upper limit, and I'm also not really encouraging you guys to go find out. But you can add multiple tags, you can remove tags, however you see fit in that sense. But
Alex, I have a question that I wanted to sort of reiterate. It did answer it in the questions pane,
oh
but
yeah,
somebody
throw
had
it out.
asked, what's the difference in using sort of the methodology behind using, let's say, comments for, fill in the blanks to be, completed versus the sort of the fill in the blanks tag.
So
And this user, just to also call it commentary, they sort of use the comment and then assign that question to a particular user that would know the answer to the sort of the fill in the blank.
so I can come over here, make a little comment, say like at Alex Bear. Now you're not
Right.
actually a loser, so I won't be able to tag you. Who do we use here?
Exactly.
There we go. So it's honestly a great question because both work absolutely. They are very easy to use the comment tagging the specific person. I would say that with commenting, obviously if you know who it is, great, you can ask them directly and you can get your answer real quick. But there could also be things that are still undecided, but you're
Right.
already working on the section. That's when using like maybe, and now I know this is a user tag, one I've just made. That's when using this tag could be great because nobody knows the answer yet, but you know that you have to circle back and fill in that blank because you don't want to print this off or send this out to anybody and have a nice blank there. So it's also a good little reminder for yourself. But I think once I run the report, it might clarify it a little bit. So I'm in a section now. I've added the fit B tag 2 places in 2 different sections. So now I'm going to hit reporting and I'm going to run an individual tag report. Which one do I want to use? I want to use our fill in the blank info needed tag, and I'm going to have both of these options set up. So I'm going to hit export, PDF, and download. And of course, it's going to go to a different screen. So wait until
Alex, we
that's
have
there
a
and I'll drag it
quick
in.
question. Quick question that Steve's asked about tagging someone says will generate a lot of emails in their inbox depending on how many items. Do we have an option to turn off the emails as far as you know?
Yes, you do. So
Okay.
Now, the emails are something that is by default it is on, and that is because we don't necessarily know how often people are actually in SpecLink Cloud. So we want to make sure people are getting pinged when they have certain comments heading their way. But now I'll actually use our people page tab here. But in the settings, under my settings, you have the ability to choose whether or not you get the email notification. You can toggle that if you get
Excellent.
tagged in a comment. So you do have that option. Now, for anybody who is in SpecLink Cloud every single day, you might not need the email notifications. For those who aren't in it often and might still get questions, keeping that on is a good idea.
Excellent tip.
Okay, so I've just run this report. So, and we can see full text, all user tag report, and we can see the Atlanta Mall, the project ID, information about it, number of sections in the project, the start date of the specifications. And then when I scroll down, the all user tag list, now it's saying all user because I technically selected all of the user tags that are currently available. Normally it would say the actual tag that is being used. But you can see here, now this is a small sample, but I can see the section, the heading of the section, all the way down to where that fill in the blank is. So I can know exactly where I still have blanks, and I can run this for an entire project. So as I'm going through, as I'm doing a lot of the prerequisite stuff, as I'm getting so much set up, every time I tag one of those, once I've gone through the initial project setup, I can come back, run this report, and say, "Yep, I still need info on all of these things." And if you wanted to, you can email this to somebody and say, "Hey, I need this info. Take care of it." If you've got that kind of team that you can just send it off like that. But it works as a great reminder. It almost works as a checklist of items that you still need info for. Commenting, great for when you know who can answer the question and can get it done quickly, and you can just collaborate that way. The tag is great for running the report and seeing anything else. Now, when it comes to reporting, you can do this with any of them, but in particular, and now I have done in a few sections, I've already set this up ahead of time because I know how tight the SpecTalk gets when it comes to timing. What am I doing scrolling? We have a document map.
We can't promote the document map then ignore the document map. We got to stay on
Exactly.
Right.
top of this.
So up
Let
here,
me, Alex,
go ahead.
real quick. We have 12 minutes left, and we're burning through. I am good to keep running long today. So if you guys are good too, we can run a little late today. And if those of you who can't stick around the extra time, this will be recorded and uploaded, available tomorrow. If you want to catch what you might miss. So I think we got a little. I think we might run long today, Mr. Fulton. What do you think?
I'm going to do my best to try and wrap up quick because when
Okay.
it comes to the last thing that we're talking about, when it comes to importing, I am going to go through some of the basics of importing and take a couple questions. But with the
Okay.
amount of changes that are coming with the next update,
Ooh,
I feel like I could do an entire spec talk on importing once
there's a
that update
teaser.
comes out.
There's a teaser right there. That stays between us and the 300 people watching. So
Yeah,
don't, no,
yeah.
don't let it leak.
So up here in the submittals, this is a great little transition into submittals here. I've already marked a few different things for submittals, and you can see we have product data submittal, shop drawings, samples. If I come over to reporting, now this is the same process because when it comes to the submittal report, it is still based on your tags because the paragraphs that are tagged, shop drawings, samples, product data, all of that falls into the submittals category, and we have two ways to run submittals reports. So if I click submittals here, I once again have the choice to include a cover sheet or not, but I'm going to export to PDF. And then while that's exporting, I'm actually going to go over to submittals log, which is Excel only, and export that as well. So you can kind of see the difference between a log and the actual report. Ooh, get out of the way. And there, I think this is this one. I have a lot of things downloaded up there, so I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if this is the most recent one or not, but you can see we've got submittals report. Once again, very similar title sheet to the other report that we just ran. Oh yeah, this is the slightly older one, so it doesn't have all our new tags that we've done. But now actually, I'm going to show you the difference. I'm committing to that.
Go all in, Alex.
Yeah, I'm committing
We,
to
we didn't
showing you
make
the
it this
difference.
far to. Some great comments coming in about the leaked knowledge of the word updates happening.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
So here we go. This is the most recently saved one. So we can see submittals report as we just saw. But as I scroll down here, we can now see each division and each section within that division which has submittals tags included. So you can see our glass unit masonry. Does it have product data? No, but it does have shop drawings. Y for yes. Samples? No. But our sliding metal grills? Yes, yes, yes. Tiling? Yes, yes, yes. So that means one of those tags, the product data, shop drawings, or samples, one of those tags is in an active paragraph or it's on an inactive paragraph. That's for the yes and no. So on these two in Division 8 and Division 9, there's one of those tags each is in those sections. Glass unit is only shop drawings. So this is a great way to get a quick breakdown of all the submittal requirements at once, especially once you've gone through the whole project to activate as much as you can. And then we've also got the Excel submittals log, which now I can close the PDF. And I can close these. And I can look for which screen the Excel is going to open up on. It's going to sneak up on me.
it's always the other screen. Doesn't matter what screen you're on. It's always the other screen. It seems like.
Right.
It certainly seems like it, right? Well, with the like I mentioned, with the streaming, the camera, the 300 users, it is definitely. Oh, you can see my loading wheel over there. It's definitely taking an extra second.
The barrage of board game rules that must be floating through your head too. It's just like.
It's actually that's something I get asked probably the most often is how do I remember the rules for so many different games?
There it is.
And there we go. So the reason that you would run the log versus the actual report is because the log in an Excel file, you can see the all the way down to, and actually I'm gonna unhide that. You can see the sequence number where the tag is, and you can see the full paragraph text. Plus, when it's in Excel format, you can do a lot more manipulation to where you can say, okay, this one's good or bad, this one's good. You can do things with Excel, as we all,
I've got
well,
a
hopefully most of us are familiar with.
great question that's come in. I think I know the answer, but I'd love to hear it from you guys. Are submittals automatically tagged when the section is activated? So if I activate the submittals sequence number in any given section, are those submittals automatically tagged?
Good question. It depends on the links and how it is set up. There are certain things that have the submittals tag um, in a paragraph, like if something down here would require a shop drawing or product data or anything like that, that will automatically populate on the report. But when it comes to the actual submittals title and the info in here, that depends on how the linking is set up. You might need to come up here and like you can see here, I've activated these paragraphs. You might need to come up here and activate certain paragraphs when it comes to submittals. But if the tag is in an active paragraph, that's all that is required for it to show up on that report.
Right.
Right, but
So
the
in other
tag has
words,
to be
you
there.
not you'd have to choose the paragraph, level, paragraph by paragraph level versus just the submittals
Mm-hmm.
article.
Right. I think that Alex Bears, yeah, that's the question is, and those tags don't just show up, right? The reporting tags in the report, those have to be there. So it's not like you can
Yeah,
activate the submittals sequence number and have those tags show up. You have to
yeah.
activate
So
the individual submittal lines.
yeah, you can actually see if I have if I deactivate the submittals paragraph here, so all of these
Mhm.
the tags will still remain because the tags are built into the paragraph. Um,
Right.
but once this is deactivated, none of these paragraphs or this section will show up
Right.
on the report because it's in an active one. But as long as that tag is there and you're able to actually activate that paragraph, you're good to go.
Excellent.
And I know, see, we're right up on time. And I had a feeling this was going to happen, especially when it comes to importing.
So
So
we're going to
I'll
sneak in a
just
quick
do,
import demo.
yeah, I'll do a quick import just in the sake of time. But I have the classic demo import that I have here. And you can see it's a traffic control section. I can scroll through it in literally 3 wheel turns there. But the reason that I wanted to make sure that I at least talked about it is because there is one final little tip when it comes to global terms is you can set up enhanced text for certain global terms. Now check the guide because the guide has the full list, but there are about 5 different ones where if you use that little pound sign or hashtag with a certain specific letter, owner spec term, design professionals term, contractor spec term, those terms can be set up to import in. So as you're bringing your own content in, you're already presetting your sections with global terms ready to go. So once again, check the guide to see which ones are able to be added. But if you know that there's a specific, like throughout your, as you're preparing for the importing, any instance where you know that you're going to be using like the contractor's name or something like that, you can just replace it with that little pound C pound, and it'll come in ready to go to be updated as a global term. Now there's a few other things we can see in here. We've got the asterisks for automating notes. We've got these brackets for automating choice fields. But one big one that I want to show, especially with everything that we've done today, and this is going to be like the last hurrah that we do. Hopefully it imports quickly. One thing I'm going to note, you guys do not see reference standards listed in here anywhere, right?
I don't.
I'm throwing it to you guys. Yeah, no reference standards.
No.
Right. Down here, though, we have some reference standards already
Mm.
in, but specifically nowhere to put them. Now, with all that, I feel like I'm setting up for a magic trick. So when it comes to importing, we go to New, Import from Word, Specification section. And now I'm going to select my file. Where are we here? Took me to the wrong spot, of course. All right, I've picked the file that we just looked at. And now I'm hoping this goes quick. Usually when it comes to importing, the timing does completely depend on your personal internet speed or whatever else you're doing, like potentially hosting a webinar. But it will pull a lot of great information right from the top. Because remember, we had a section ID and traffic control listed right there for the first 2 lines. So it was able to pull that right away and understand where you want it. Then you can adjust your suffix. So instead of user, this is our SpecTalk. That works. And so that's going to be the suffix, and I'm just going to hit OK. It's going to finalize the import, open up to exactly where it is, and now I can open this up. And there we go. And now if I scroll down here, you can see we have certain global terms showing up. This little A, I will let you guys know because I'm sure a question came up. There is a reference standard for a little practice that we did that just uses a letter A, and it decided it wanted to prioritize the reference standard versus a global term. So that's why you're seeing that, just in case. But let me open up the tags, the report tags column, because down here we can see those global terms that are already in here. Up here, the tags already showed up, the links already showed up, and the reference standard area was automatically created for that. So all of that automatically added to your import. And that happened because, and I'm going to go back over to the main page so I don't have to actually leave it. That all happened because when going through import from Word, specification section, all of that is right here, convert to enhanced text. If you want choice fields, global terms, project notes, reference standards, units of measurement, all of that is how the intelligence and automation can be built into a Word document before even bringing it in. And if you want reference standard, it's going to pull those reference standards. If you want a choice field, it's going to create those choice fields for you, as long as you set it up right. You want those global terms already in, it's going to do that. But with that all being said, I do want to make sure we're wrapping up on a decent time.
Reasonable. We have a curfew
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
yeah. I am teasing for the next time. I absolutely volunteered to be on an importing focused spec talk, especially seeing that poll earlier where that was, I think 50% of you said it was most used thing that you have. Um, but yeah, just a quick little demo of how to do the importing, how to see some of those aspects that we have. But yeah,
And
that's
speaking of polls,
what
we're
we've
gonna
got.
we're gonna end it with one more. Are you a current SpecLink user? While you guys are making your votes there, I am getting word on the side here that that new Word update, we will be looking at that early to mid May. So we're about 4 to 6 weeks out from really having that plugged in. Captain Fulton, we would love to have you back to walk us through how people can benefit from that the most. So we've got a whole look at the loyalty here. Love it. Look how many SpecLink users we've got here. We've got a handful of you that aren't. Alex Bear, what do we want to do? What do we want to say to people that aren't current SpecLink users today?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're interested in taking a closer look at the SpecLink program, we can set you up with a multitude of different resources. We have an online free trial that we have available to actually take a look at, which you can you can request through our website. And we also can set up an online one-on-one demonstration with you if you'd like for us to kind of sit down and review your current needs and kind of go through a full overview of the specification SpecLink program.
Excellent. That's yeah, and that's available to anybody on here. And even if your consultants aren't using it, but you want to get your consultants up and running as well, we definitely have the time and resources to help you guys learn as much about SpecLink as you need to. I know there was a conversation I had with on the side here with somebody about owners. We're going to have an owner conversation coming up soon too. Let me fly through these as well. So if you, as we're wrapping up here, if you need any additional training on SpecLink, we do offer free 1 hour and 3 hour monthly webinars. Those are also available on demand as well. So if you needed just sort of a refresher or a top up, we can put you in touch with those links and those are accessed through the guide too, correct, Alex? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you can access those links in the guide as well.
Excellent. And if you need special attention, one-on-one or individual group training, get in touch with your SpecLink sales rep, and they'll put you in touch with the right people. Another conversation I was having with a few people today, I'm so excited about. You know who you are. If you would like to be a guest for an upcoming Spec Talk, or you want to nominate or maybe recommend somebody that has a unique expertise that you'd love to have on here with us, by all means, drop us an email, get in touch with us. You can reach us on LinkedIn or anywhere. We're pretty readily accessible. And our next Spec Talk, so make special note here, guys. They're usually every 2 weeks. This one, we're going to have a 3-week gap. So our next one is going to be on April 23rd. We are going to have our in-house BPM specialist, Justin Falto, and Matt Johnson on. We're going to be talking smarter specs and better buildings, talking about tools that make collaboration easier and reducing complexity and errors in your building. It's a really interesting topic. We've been planning it already. There's going to be some really cool information that they share there. So thank you, everybody, for attending today. This was so much fun. Oh my goodness, we could have gone on for hours with the amount of comments and feedback that
Oh,
we were getting from everyone. The comments, I love the feed. I love this community, guys. Everybody is so down to earth and just. I mean, I'd love to hang. We got to do one in real life. I like you said earlier, Alex. I want to do one in like a room. We'll put you up on a stage somewhere. We'll have microphones set up in the audience, and everybody can walk up and just ask you questions right in person.
Absolutely.
I see Larry Kowalski's name up here. Hey, Larry, how you doing? This is fantastic, guys. So again, today's episode will be available on demand, usually by tomorrow. We need some time to get those cleaned up and uploaded, as you can imagine. But otherwise, we will see you guys in 3 weeks. The invitations will be sent out. Hope to see SpecTalk at CSI National. Genius idea, brilliant idea. And we'll be out and about in the community. If anybody's going to be at the AIA conference this year or CSC up in Canada, I'll be at both of those. So we can. There's always ways to reach out. So again, thank you everybody. This is such an awesome episode. Alex Fulton. I'm going to keep calling you Captain from now on. This was great. Alex Bear,
I like
always a
it.
pleasure, my friend. And we will talk to you guys all very, very soon. Thank you again, and take care. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.